Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about Python programming basics. Topics covered for this session are comments, docstrings, identifiers and reserved words, naming conventions in Python, data types, constants, built-in data types like none, numeric, and Boolean data type, sequences like strings, bytes, byte arrays, and other data types like list, tuple, dictionaries, set, and frozen set. So these are the topics covered. We'll discuss one by one now. Comments and docstrings. These are basic things. As we all know, in C language also, we used to use comments. These comments are for the understanding purpose, what the program is doing, for what purpose we are writing the program, that will be written as a comment. So in C language, the comments are preceded by double backslash, and those lines are not compiled by the C compiler. In the same way, in Python also, these are the comment lines, and I'll show you. So this is the comment line, and this line is just for our reading purpose. This is not compiled by any compiler, and this is preceded by the hash symbol. In C language, we just use it, the double slash. In Python, we are using hash symbol. After hash, the complete statement from beginning to end will be the comment line. And the other statements here are normal program statements. These will be compiled and interpreted by the Python interpreter. Okay, Python doesn't support multi-line comments. If we need to use multiple lines, then each and every line should be preceded by the hash symbol. There is another way we can use the comments or reading purpose. We can use, for the reading purpose, we can use docstrings. These are for the documentation purpose. These docstrings are usually used in the classes, methods, or functions. So these docstrings explain the code. If it is in the class, it is going to explain the purpose of the class. If it is in the method, it is going to explain the purpose of the method. So these docstrings will be within the class or a method. And these docstrings are the strings which are enclosed with triple double quotes. So the docstrings are enclosed like this. So this is completely a docstring and it is enclosed with triple double quotes. Next. So what are comments used for? Comments are used for the readability and explanation of the code or metadata of the project. And it prevents the execution of the code to include what are all the resources we used for the program. So there are two types of comment lines, single line comments and multiple line comments. As I told you, single line comments are preceded by the hash symbol and multi-line comments are not in the Python. But if we want to use multiple line comments, one way we can do is we can use hash symbol for each and every line, or the other way is we can use the docstrings like triple double quotes on each end of the comment. So this is one of the example for that. This is one of the example for the multiple line comments. So these two lines are the comment lines, or it can be the docstrings. Okay, so it explains what is the purpose of the code. Okay, so first it print hello is our program, and this is preceded by this docstring or the multiple line comments which are enclosed with the triple double quotes. Okay, so these docstrings are accessible using the leading and trailing two underscores attribute. Okay, so this is the attribute which accesses the docstring. So we have mentioned in this slide, we have mentioned this is the docstring. But how can we access this one? We can access this one using the document trailing doc, which is trailing with two leading underscores and trailing with two document, which has two leading and trailing underscores. Okay, doc strings. To display these doc strings, for example, here, so this is a function definition. Multiply is the function name, and it is the definition of the function name. So here we can see this is the colon, which says definition starts from here. Okay, so this is the docstring, multiplies the values of a and b. It specifies what is the purpose of this function. As I told you, docstrings are useful for the explanation or to explain the purpose of the function. Okay, this is the docstring, and after that it says return a into b. This is the actual execution statement, but this is just a docstring statement which explains what is the purpose of this multiply function. Okay, now we have written the function definition. We need to access both the statement, that means the result of the multiply function, as well as the docstring or the explanation of the function. So for that, we need to use the code like this: print multiply dot underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. These are two leading underscores and these are two trailing underscores. So this one displays the docstring, the string which we have mentioned in the function definition. So output for this print multiply dot doc is multiplies the value of a and b. And if we just call the multiply function, then it returns a into b, and we will get the output of the output of the function multiply. Next. So how do we declare docstrings? Usually eyesight docstrings are represented using triple double quotes, or it can also be declared using the triple single quotes also. Usually we use triple double quotes. Okay, next is variables. What is a variable? Variable is nothing but the identifier which stores a value of something is a variable. The identifier which stores a value of something for which the value can change anytime during the program execution. So how is variable assignment done in the Python programming language? Variables in Python are defined using the assignment operator, similar to variables in the C language. To define a variable in Python, variable name is written first, then the assignment operator, followed by the value of the expression. As you can see here, the general syntax to assign a value. Okay, variable. What are the naming conventions for the variables? Variable names should start with a letter. It should not start with any number. And variable names can only contain numbers, letters, and underscores. Numbers can be included in the variable name, but it should not start with a number. And underscore, it should not start with the underscore also. Variable names cannot contain spaces or punctuations. Not only the variable names, but method names or class names or whatever it is, any identifier should not contain any spaces or punctuations. Variable names are not enclosed in quotes or brackets. Okay, these are the naming conventions or the rules for to write variable names. And Python variables can store different types of data based on the variable's data type. Explicitly, we need not write the type of the variable or the data type of the variable. The value which we give, the value which we assign to the variable name, then only the data type of that value will be assigned to the variable name implicitly. It is not done explicitly by the users. Implicit declaration of the variable names is done in the Python language. That means a variable's data type is created dynamically that is implicitly without the need to explicitly define a data type and the variable is created. This is about variable assignment. Okay. And the rules and naming conventions, as we discussed just now, it constants and variable names should have a combination of letters A to Z and capital letters A to Z or digits or also underscore. So examples for the variable names are specified here. So this starts with the smallest, this starts with capital M, and this includes both the small and capital letters, and it has the underscore also. Underscore is also allowed, and even uh, numericals numbers are also allowed from 0 to 9 for the variable names. Create a name that makes sense. Always we need to give the variable name so that we can know the purpose of storing the data to that particular variable. If you want to create a variable name having two words, then specifically we need to uh, separate them using the underscore. Like my name is a variable name, but here we are not using it without an underscore. We can even use without underscore also, but it's better to use two words separated with a underscore. Use capital letters possible to declare a constant. And here capital letters can also be used for the variable names, but in Python, it is used for the constants declaration. And the rule here is never use symbols for the variable names. So whenever the data is assigned to the variable, memory is reserved to that particular variable of that particular data type. Data type is not declared explicitly by the user, but even then, if we give a is equal to 10, then it is integer. The value is within the limits of the integer, then it stores that amount of memory and it reserves that amount of memory for that variable in the RAM. Okay. If we give a b is equal to 9.5, then it is a floating point value. So the memory reserved memory allocated to that variable b is float. As it says a decimal point there, it saves the or reserves that floating point memory to that particular variable b. Based on the data type of the variable, the interpreter allocates the memory. Interpreter allocates the memory and decides what can be stored in that memory. Therefore, by assigning different data types to the variables, you can store integers, decimals, characters in these variables. Assigning values to the variables. Python variables do not explicitly need reserve memory space. Declaration automatically happens. For example, here counter is equal to 100. So 100, we did not mention it counter as an integer data type, but even then the memory saved is of integer data type only. Here 1000.0. That means it is a floating point. And here it is name is equal to John. Here it is enclosed with the double quotes. That means it is of name is a variable of data type string. Python allows you to assign a single value to several variables simultaneously. For example, so if we want to assign a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, c is equal to 1, then we can assign all the values to 1 in a single line. That means several variables can be assigned with a single value. Several variables can be assigned with a single value. Okay. Here an integer object is created with the value 1 and all the three variables are assigned to the same memory. In the same way, we can even declare like this: A, B, C is equal to three different values, multiple values to multiple variables in a single line. How to declare that? With a comma delimiter. Using the delimiter comma, we can declare three different variables of different data types. See here, one A is assigned 1, B is assigned 2, and C is assigned string data type. Here A and B are both are integer data type, and C is of string data type. Okay. Next, identifier. A Python identifier is the name which is used to identify either a variable, constant, function, class, module, or any other object. Same naming conventions are given for the identifier. Same naming conventions which we gave for the variable are also used for the identifiers. Like identifier should start with the letters or an underscore followed by 0 or more letters. Python does not allow punctuation marks or special characters. Python is a case-sensitive programming language. That means we need to uh, distinguish between capital letters and small letters. Usually capital letters are used to constant identifiers. So here are some naming conventions for the Python identifiers. So class names start with uppercase letter. Usually for our understanding purpose, whenever we see a identifier with the capital letter, identifier with beginning with capital letter, then we should assume that it is a class name. Okay. And all other identifiers start with the lowercase letters. Only the class identifier starts with the capital letter. And starting an identifier with a single leading underscore indicates the identifier is private. Okay. And this two leading underscores, it is strong private identifier. And two leading and two trailing underscores, it means it is a special name. So for example, this here name, for I can give the example here as main. Two leading underscores, main, and two trailing underscores. Another example which we just saw in our presentation is docstring. Doc, doc, DOC. Two leading underscores, DOC, and two trailing underscores. Next. So these are the reserved words in the Python. As we all know, reserved words are there for each and every programming language. In Python language, these are the reserved words. The following list shows the Python keywords. These are the reserved words, and you cannot use them as constants or variables or other identifier names. And another important thing is, so these reserved words cannot be used as a file name also. Usually students do this mistake that if they want to do, for example, if they want to do a sample program to illustrate a break reserved word, so they will save it with break.py, but that gives error. Okay, so never use the keywords as the file names also. So these keywords are for some specific purpose, and they should be used for that purpose only in the Python programming language. Next, constants. What is a constant? A constant is a type of variable whose value cannot be changed. That means throughout the program, the value of the constant will be the same. And constant declaration is also similar to the variable declaration. Naming convention for the constant variable is also similar to variable naming convention. Okay. And assigning value to the constant in Python. In Python, constants are usually declared and assigned in a module. Okay. A module is a new file containing variables, functions, which is imported to the main file. So in C language, we used to include few files, and those files functions are being used in our C language. In the same way, here we are using few modules, and these modules we are importing to the main file, and the variables or the functions from that module we are using in our programs, in our Python programs. Inside the modules, the constants are written in capital letters and underscores separating the words. Okay. So these are few examples for the constants in the Python. Declaring and we'll say an example for declaring and assigning value to the constant. Create a constant.py is a Python program. Okay. And pi, as this is the constant value throughout the program, the value of the pi or pi will be 3.14, and gravity is another constant for which 9.8 is the value, and wherever we use the gravity constant or the identifier, there the value 9.8 is substituted. So this is constant.py, and in main.py we need to import this constant Python program, import constant, and we need to print the constant as is a file name. From this file name, we are not saying this as file. Instead we are saying it as a module. So in this module, we are using the constants, and these constants are called using the module dot variable or the constant module dot constant. So we can display the values which are stored in this module. So we are importing the module, and through that module we are accessing the value of the constant. Hope you understood this. And next, lines and indentation. This is very important concept in the Python programming language. As we all know, for few statements like for, while, do, while. So we are using flower braces in C language to hold set of statements as a block of statements or block of code. In the same way in Python, instead of using flower braces, we are using indentation. Indentation is nothing but the space given to the statements inside the statements. Which statements? For example, if else, for, while, all these are statements. If else, all these are sequence statements. For, while, all these are looping statements, and there are different statements as we'll be studying in further sessions. So basic statements are sequence statements. If else, these are sequence statements. If the condition is true, then set of sequence of statements are executed. If the condition is false, next sequence or the other sequence of statements will be executed. These sequence of statements together form a block. So block of code in C language is indicated using the flower braces. But here in Python, we are not using flower braces. Instead, we are using line indentation. Line indentation is nothing but the space we are giving to the statements or the block of statements. These statements should be separated using a space. That space can either be single space or multiple spaces, but all the set of block of statements should be of the same indentation, same spaces. Same number of spaces should be maintained for a particular block of code. So for example, here we'll see if true, we are using tab space and print true. Else, colon, and we are using again the tab space and print false. Okay. So in Python, all continuous lines indented with the same number of spaces would form a block. I said a block or set of statements should be indented with same number of spaces. This is very important in Python. Even if we write complete code, Python code perfectly, without indentation, it is not going to execute. So we can even use multiple statements on a single line. How is it possible? So for example, import system, semicolon, x is equal to 4, semicolon. So Python statements usually are very small statements, as we are not maintaining many rules and regulations as we saw in C language. So our coding is becoming simple. Even when the code is becoming simple, our length of the statement will also become simple. So we can even write few statements in a single line, but those statements should be separated with the delimiter semicolon. So this is one statement, and this is another statement, and this is another statement. These three statements are separated with the delimiter semicolon. So multiple statements on a single line is accepted in Python with a semicolon. Statements in Python typically end with a new line. Okay, so when we don't have enough space, or we can even separate a single line. Separate a single line. When the line is too long, then we can separate a single line using the forward slash. Using the forward slash. So this means it is concatenating the line into the same line. Okay. These statements contained within square brackets or flower brackets or parenthesis brackets do not need any line continuation characters. This is line continuation character. A single line separated with the forward slash. These are not necessary if it is inside the square brackets. For example, this is the square bracket where days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. These are the strings. So these are separated. I mean, this single line is written in two lines, but here it is not separated with any line continuation statement. Instead, it is used like this because it is within the square brackets. We can use like that. Next, built-in data types. Text data type is string. Numeric data types are int, float, complex. Sequence data types are list, tuple, range. We all know what is string. String data type is for the text, to display the text. Numeric data types are used for the numbers. And here int, float, complex, int for integer type of data, float for floating or decimal numbers. Complex is for combination of numbers and variables. Okay, so sequence types are list, tuple, and range. List is set of elements, and tuple is also set of elements, but tuple is ordered and it is not mutable. That means it cannot be changed. Once it is created, it cannot be changed. Okay, next range. Mapping data type is dictionary. Here dictionary is nothing but a data type which is represented in the form of key value pairs, and this dictionary is enclosed within the flower braces. Dictionary elements are enclosed within the flower braces. Set data types are set and frozen set. Set is immutable and frozen set is mutable and frozen set is immutable. And there is another data type called as Boolean type. Boolean type specifies whether it is true or false. Binary data types are bytes, byte arrays, and memory view. We'll discuss about all this in the following slides. So variables can store data in different types. Built-in data types. So we are discussing about the built-in data type none. So variables can store data of different types. Different types can do different things. None is the data type which is used to define null variable or an object. Null keyword is an object and it is